The online discourse surrounding the ethics of reaction content has recently been reignited in relevancy this month and had many different internet idols and content creators discussing the transformative value of the reaction genre and whether or not it qualifies as fair use or just straight up theft. For those of you who might be Gen Alpha and just now started learning how to walk, I want to clarify that the react question isn't some contemporary dialogue that creators are just now starting to have out of nowhere. If you've been around on the internet long enough, you'd remember that this same point of contention was also present during the glory days of 2016 when concerning Jinx's reaction videos and how they were so absent of commentary that they weren't even considered fair use. And if you're a complete dinosaur boomer, you might even be able to recall the same discussion being had regarding the infamous reply girls back in 2012, which was the point in time that the react question actually originated from. The style and technique that these YouTubers used to steal other people's content were different throughout the history of the website, but the issues people had with them and the points that were brought up against them never changed. With reply girls, you had this extremely overpowered meta of attractive females that would upload videos of themselves reacting, or at this age, replying to videos that they blatantly ripped from another person's channel to carry their own channel. And years later with Jinx, you saw him posting 10 videos a day of him just reacting to another person's content while he sat on his bed eating Cheetos. But in the end, they were all content thieves. The commentary they would provide could hardly be called such, and they wouldn't offer any personal input or effort into making their videos transformative enough to be considered fair use and to not be considered thieves. And again, we're seeing the react question make a resurgence in the social fabric of the modern landscape, which started with a Twitter skirmish between XQC and Mutahar of them debating about how much re-uploaded reaction content hurt the original creators of said videos. Mutahar was saying that reaction content cannibalizes the views and impressions that the original video would have otherwise gained, especially when it's in the fashion of XQC where he's using the same exact title and thumbnail that harms the SEO ranking of the original video. You're able to see for yourself that re-uploaded reaction content harms the original source video algorithmically if you just search up any video that any larger streamer has already reacted to. You can oftentimes see the reactor being positioned higher in the search results than the original creator, especially if the reactor has a larger online presence than them. You don't need any robust statistics or data analytics to certify this fact. When a large streamer re-uploads a YouTuber's content on YouTube, it's not just stealing all of the views and impressions that the original creator would have otherwise received, but it's stealing all the revenue that the YouTuber would have otherwise made and instead goes to the streamer. When you take money into consideration, you get a lot closer to the actual legal definition of theft. You're no longer just robbing them of intangible virtual internet numbers, you're actually harming their livelihood. It seems though that XQC doesn't believe people should have the right to complain about him harming the livelihood and stealing the money of other people for some reason. It's such a good display of how truly out of touch he is, especially when he mentions the fact that he's received these complaints countless times and yet still believes it's not an issue. With this next tweet though, he goes far beyond the realm of just being out of touch and traverses into delusional territory. He practically says that the YouTubers he's stealing revenue from shouldn't care because the amount of revenue he's stealing from them only comprises a small amount of his income. How narcissistic do you have to be to believe that just because the amount of money you're stealing from someone is a small amount relative to you means that the person you're stealing from shouldn't complain at all? This is delusional on an inexplicable level. Like, we're talking full dark triad, Machiavellian narcissist levels of delusion. I don't need to explain any farther why this statement is completely insane and ridiculous. What surprised me though is that Mutahar doesn't seem to believe that stolen revenue is that big of an issue either, and doesn't drill XQC on this point like I'd expect him to. Instead, he says the main problem is with the appropriation of impressions and views, and says that's a metric YouTubers should care about more than money. He could have just said outright that it's perfectly fine to care about your revenue being stolen as a YouTuber by content thieves, and how delusional and out of touch he is for thinking that money is a non-issue. I think Mutahar doesn't attribute that much importance to revenue because much like XQC, he himself is also extremely wealthy. So it doesn't seem like that relevant of a concern to him compared to any other average plebeian YouTuber, whose main motivation for making videos is oftentimes making money.
I don't disagree. Ad revenue isn't that important. XQC, insecurity doesn't exist. We're both actually very wealthy individuals. We both have more money than we could ever understand what to do with our life.
I think Mutahar appears weak here in his argument when he implied that YouTubers should care more about impressions than revenue, since the growth of their channel should take priority over money. Because it detaches these two aspects of success that should ultimately be used in the same argument against anti-react content. Like, why else would a YouTuber care about the growth of their channel and brand if not for the end goal of financial gain? He makes this pointless distinction between stealing revenue or stealing impressions, when in reality, the whole reason why stealing impressions or stealing revenue is bad is because it hurts the creator in the same way in the end. In the end, it prevents them from earning as much money as they could have potentially made if no one was stealing their content.
Don't make a money argument type. Where? I didn't mention money at all. We're talking about impressions, not about ad revenue.
If Mutahar avoided making this distinction and just came out with a money argument like XQC didn't want him to have, he not only would have avoided the paradigm XQC was putting him in with not being allowed to defend money, but he also would have made his argument a lot more efficient and effective. On the other hand though, I think the strongest point Mutahar brought up against XQC, and in turn the entirety of the React community, was equating stealing YouTube content to stealing any other form of intellectual property of media like TV shows and movies, and says that the reason why XQC and all these other large streamers aren't willing to steal TV shows and movies is because their companies have large teams of people that can afford to DMCA strike anyone that steals their content.
Now XQC even watched animes like Hunter x Hunter and The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight where Kick staff had to go in and be like, we just gave you a deal, don't ruin it. Why was that not uploaded to YouTube? Was it because you didn't want to share that with the YouTube Andes, the frogs? Or, you know, maybe it's because there was a big studio stopping it the entire time, and you realized that you couldn't get away with it, and you could have actually faced a lawsuit.
XQC even says here that YouTubers have the ability to easily claim other people's videos, which is just completely false. The only way you can claim other people's videos is by having access to a content manager account, and the only people who have access to content manager are large MCNs and companies that run multiple channels and have a lot of money. In other words, you have to be very important. The only option smaller YouTubers have to claim other people's videos is by issuing a DMCA, which is extremely impractical because no YouTuber can afford to start a lawsuit with every streamer that happens to react to their video. Just because a YouTuber doesn't have the resources to afford the luxury of preventing people like you from stealing their content doesn't give you the right to steal their content. This long-winded Twitter battle between this top commentary YouTuber and this top streamer sparked a lot of discussion about the topic and had a lot of different YouTubers and streamers trying to answer the React question. The most notable example of this was when a top video essayist that XQC commonly reacts to called him out on Twitter for his lack of commentary while he watches his videos, and he shows a clip here of XQC letting his video play uninterrupted for 10 minutes straight while he was busy taking an Adderall break. Streamers will often justify behavior like this by claiming that the source material gets a boost in performance and views after they react to their video, as if this warrants them not getting permission from the artist to react to their video in the first place. He then shows that no, there is no tangible boost that his video received after it was reacted to by XQC. This is just a cope commonly used by these top live streamers to somehow justify stealing content. Ethan Klein hosted a podcast shortly after this with his co-host Hasan, who is also a top Twitch live streamer who is no less guilty of content theft than XQC is. When the topic of React content inevitably surfaced into their conversation, you can see here that they had some interpersonal friction about the ethics of it.
I do not care about IP in the same way that you do. We have differing opinions on it.
You think that you should be able to take people's videos and re-upload them wholesale?
Well, not necessarily. I think
not necessarily.
I think you should still abide by certain standards, but overall, I don't really care. I don't really care if someone rips my IP.
No, but you're talking about IP law, or are you talking about what your preference is?
My personal preferences and what I think my personal preferences and what I believe and how I believe IP should be run is significantly more
How should IPs be run? How should IPs be run?
I think that there should be a
H3H3, believe it or not, actually made himself out to look like a well-reasoned, sane person with a healthy, rational view on theft. and in the process made Hasan Piker look like an idiot, which to be fair isn't hard to do at all.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, it's not high effort.
No. This is
editing
like
is not
theft.
high effort.
I mean, this is already theft. He didn't even intro it. He didn't talk about it. He's literally just sitting there quietly for the first 30 seconds. You should sue him. F you, XQC, you thief bitch. I'm not surprised he's stealing people's videos. He steals people's money too.
I think that as far as like rigorous control over IP, I personally don't have it. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's a good thing.
What do you mean you don't believe in it? I don't understand what that means. You think that people should be able to steal your videos and upload it?
Yeah, which is why I have.
Why? How is that fair to anybody?
You can again see the same cope coming from Hasan Piker that all these other top streamers use. In this situation, he has a very obvious conflict of interest, which is why he makes such a pathetic attempt at trying to justify XQC's theft, because he knows he's guilty of the same thing. I really wonder if H3H3 is aware that the entirety of Hasan's streaming career is comprised of nothing but reaction content, and that he uses it as substance for the majority of his streams. If Ethan knows what Hasan does for a living and is still choosing to drill the react genre super hard right in front of him, that's honestly pretty based. You can even see here that H3H3 basically tells Hasan to stop talking multiple times because of how much disbelief he's in over this genre of content, and he can't wrap his head around how anyone can get away with this.
High effort.
I mean, hold on.
No, it's not.
Let me get a taste of this. Why wouldn't they cut that?
In channel, you should definitely edit it more for sure.
Hold on, Hasan. I really want to see. I want to get a feel for this.
This is probably a product of Ethan's experience with the older days of YouTube, where the React question was a lot more prevalent, and all of the negative opinions about it had already been pre-established. Everyone back then unanimously agreed that Jinx and all the other reaction channels were a cancer for the website and needed to be exiled because of how much they were hurting genuine content creators. But nowadays, people are so assured in their disdain towards reaction content when it's coming from streamers for some reason. Shortly after this, XQC actually challenged H3H3 to a debate on his own podcast after witnessing Ethan's attitude towards reaction content. Because I guess XQC thought he was a prime candidate for offering a more substantial defense of reaction content than anyone else in the scene. Again, when compared to the likes of someone as mentally obtuse as a Twitch streamer like XQC, H3H3 actually looks like a pragmatic voice of reason and just wipes the floor with him in this debate and completely outpaces him intellectually. It's almost hard to watch. XQC, for optics sake at least, could have entertained the arguments that anti-react people commonly use to condemn reaction content, and could have at least tried to respect the notion that certain aspects of reaction content are harmful, and the issues with them have merit. Instead, when confronted by Ethan on the main aspect of what classifies reaction content as theft, which would be lack of commentary, XQC completely disregards the importance of this point in the discussion, even though this point is oftentimes used to determine if certain React content can even be considered fair use. When asked by Ethan if he saw a problem with uploading a reaction video with virtually no commentary and which isn't transformative in nature whatsoever, XQC said no without even beating around the bush about it.
Not there.
Okay, so you see no problem with it?
No.
No. Okay. And if you added 20 seconds of commentary to his video and you use the same title and the same thumbnail, you don't see any problem with that?
No.
Okay. There it is.
So it seems like
that's all you really need to say.
It would have been a better look for XQC if he just shamelessly admitted that he was a thief from the get-go and just didn't care about it at all. Because at least doubling down looks better than being a total idiot and being crushed by Ethan to Klien. If you want an idea for just how non-transformative certain React streamers can be compared to others, just look at the runtime of the reaction re-uploads versus the runtime of the original video they're reacting to. This is an indicator of how much actual commentary they provided of their own, since whenever a streamer has something to say about the video they're watching, they'll pause and then resume once they're done speaking. In this case, XQC has almost zero transformative commentary to provide, as you can see if you compare the original source video to his reaction videos.
The original video is 8 minutes 33 seconds. Okay, the video here that you uploaded is 9 minutes 13 seconds. That means you added 40 seconds to an 8.5 minute video, adding 7.8% runtime.
It was at this point in the debate that XQC contradicts himself, because when confronted by H3H3 about the lack of commentary, XQC admits that his content isn't transformative. But the first question Ethan asked XQC at the beginning of the debate was whether or not he believes his content is transformative, to which XQC agreed that it was.
So I guess my first question for you to start is that, do you think your work is transformative? Of course, that's one of the main tenets of fair use. Do you think your work is transformative?
Yes.
So, but your work is not fully transformative. Some of it is not, by your own admission.
Yeah, some of it is less reacted, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Because I think we both agree, if we did a fair use analysis, and you admit that when you says it's not transformative, that a lot of the stuff you do would fail the fair use test. So we're on the same page. What you say, the commentary does matter. Because
before you finish, let me go. So you're about to prove me right. I said I do non-transformative dog, and you're about to show me non-transformative dog.
Okay, fair. So I don't have to show it to you.
I mean, you'll go clap me because I mean, I just said I did that.
There are also other examples of XQC contradicting himself in the past, which H3H3 used as ammunition to own him.
I was watching you yesterday, and here you said it's absolutely not transformative. Here it is.
You don't have to care. That's totally fine. But do you agree that you've created non-transformative reactions?
100%, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We've agreed.
So here you say you've 100% made non-transformative reactions. Did you change your mind?
If XQC believes people shouldn't have an issue with this content not being transformative and using the same title and thumbnail as the source video, then that basically means that he doesn't think there's an issue with abject content theft whatsoever, since those are the main issues people have with reaction content, and they're the main points that they use to determine if reaction content is theft. I think this shows that XQC is mentally incapable of understanding why stealing is bad, and why DMCA and fair use laws exist. Which in retrospect, perfectly explains why he thought it was a good idea to stream the entirety of The Dark Knight on Kick and almost getting the entire website in trouble with the law. The conversation then transitions into the topic of permission, and whether or not XQC gains the blessing of the original creators in order to react to their content in good faith. XQC pretty much says that his content theft is a victimless crime because he, 1, gets permission from the majority of the creators he reacts to.
What percentage of people would you say you get permission from?
The majority.
And 2, because no one has yet to come out to him to claim victimhood and have an issue with them reacting to their content.
And when there's a smaller creators, I try to be way more careful with the amount of growth that they're getting, how many subscribers they have, and I try to be better with it. And quite honestly, when it comes to small creators, I have never had any pushback, right? So no victims in that case.
Ethan immediately dismantles his claim by pointing out the fact that he does in fact have victims that have spoken out about him using their content without permission, and he didn't have to dig deep at all to find them. The very first creator that Ethan reached out to said they had an issue with XQC reacting to their content just because of how untransformative it is. He even said he's fine with the likes of Mizkif and Hasan reacting to their content. It's just specifically XQC that he has an issue with because he sucks that much.
You did this recently. Do you know who that guy is?
Yes.
Okay, why didn't you ask him for permission?
I don't know. Did he complain? Because at this point, I don't know if I have a victim, right? I don't know, so I didn't do.
Well, you do, actually. And what's funny is I literally just reached out to one random person from your recent reacts, just one, who followed me. I knew
it's just one. It was only one, for sure.
Yeah. No, I swear to God.
So you wouldn't ask, are you a victim, by the way?
Let me, hold on. This is important. This is important for you to understand. So I reached out to Vintage, and I said, hey, I'm just curious, did XQC get permission? And I'm going to read you the message he sent me, if that's okay. I've never been contacted by XQC at all for any of my React videos. My personal take is this. I love big streamers watching, like XQC, Hasan, Mizkif, Moist Critical, watching my videos on their stream. It's a big ego boost, but when XQC does it, it's different. When he watches my video, he always re-uploads the whole thing on his YouTube channel with his insightful commentary as, wow, chat, isn't this crazy? XQC, he really just steals my shit, entertains his audience off hundreds of hours I put into my videos while I get just a link in the YouTube description.
He would have gone so far as to DMCA strike XQC's re-uploads of his content, but he didn't go through with it because of how impractical it is and that he didn't want to cause any drama between them.
problem isn't the reacting, it's the re-uploading of my video with his face on the thumbnail, and also, and I don't DMCA him because I don't want the Twitter drama.
XQC's immediate reaction to this information was to invalidate the guy's perfectly reasonable complaints and to straight up call him a paid actor instead of addressing the point like an actual adult.
Oh, he doesn't want the Twitter drama.
Wait, why are you, well, hold on, this guy says you stole his why are you denigrating that? I think you should take this seriously.
Well, because one is a paid actor, right? Which I think, well, I mean, if this is exactly, I mean, that's a paid actor, 100%.
Wait, what? What did you say?
Oh, it's a paid actor.
He's a paid actor.
Yeah, it is what it is.
XQC's solution to this issue was to financially compensate any victims for the loss in views and revenue that they suffered.
He would be a data outlier of a person who doesn't like it, and we can either recurve that, make it better, and I will de-damage him for every dollar that he has lost to me, right? And he had analytics to back up how much the video on YouTube cannibalized his, or any sort of damaging data or stats behind it. I would be more than happy to give him 10 times 10x.
XQC finally entertaining the idea that he actually does have victims that he's damaged so much to the point where financial compensation is warranted is pretty much him conceding the entire debate, in my opinion. It's him inadvertently admitting that there are very real repercussions to content theft and that it negatively affects other people. He spends all this time performing mental gymnastics trying to justify content theft and only now offers to recuperate any financial losses anyone has suffered only once he's confronted about it. The best part is that even after admitting that what he's doing is inherently wrong, he still continues to do the same thing to this day. This is because XQC expects the creators he's stealing from to be able to reach out to him to either give him permission or ask for compensation, which is extremely unrealistic. I can't imagine having anything less than like 100,000 Twitter followers and being able to get XQC's attention, which perfectly explains why he says he never hears any complaints from small creators.
Quite honestly, when it comes to small creators, I have never had any pushback.
This means that as long as XQC doesn't hear any of their complaints, then stealing their content is justified. And it also means that as long as he financially compensates for the people whose complaints he does happen to hear, stealing their content is still justified. He's so delusional that he's willing to stoop to using this totally nonsensical, twisted logic instead of just not reacting to anyone's content he didn't get permission from.
What you're saying is, I'm gonna steal your stuff, and I don't care if you have a problem with it. You can come talk to me. It's not his job to come ask you for reparations for you stealing from him. Don't you understand that?
The whole sphere of this, everything around it, is to make something good happen, right? And that matters to me a lot.
Bullshit, bro. Nice try. You literally do it to enrich yourself. You're a multi-millionaire and you steal content from small creators and you don't give a f about their rights or what they want. And then your only justification is, oh yeah, you can come chase me down and complain and try to get my attention so I can pay you for the I stole. It's total bullshit, bro.
The next pertinent point that Ethan uses is the cannibalistic nature of reaction content and how it could steal potential views and impressions that the original creators deserved, which is probably the most relevant subject of the React question, as it was used as the main topic in the Mutahar Twitter thread. Ethan starts off by making a strong argument against the way XQC re-uploads his reaction content, and says that the only reason he has for using the same exact title and thumbnail is to deceive the viewer into watching his video over the original.
And you do this all the time. You'll agree.
Yes. Yes.
You use the exact title and the exact thumbnail. The only reason for anybody to do that is to confuse search and discovery and cannibalize views from the original. That is the only reason to do that. You are only doing that to siphon off views and confuse people. There is no other reason for that.
I think the fact that this practice is so prevalent amongst pretty much all React streamers is a good display of how truly malicious their intentions really are. They're actively going out of their way to steal views and revenue from the channels that rightfully deserve it. XQC has no response to this, as it is completely indefensible. When asked exactly why he does this, XQC pretty much completely exposes himself in reviews that his viewers aren't at all there to watch XQC, they're there to watch the original source material.
Why would you use the same exact title and the same exact thumbnail? Explain that to me.
Well,
just answer the question, Felix. Why did you do that? Why did you give it the same exact title and thumbnail? Just answer that.
Oh, because I wanted to.
Why did you want to?
Oh, because I wanted to.
Why did you want to?
because the thumbnail is good and it gives the viewer what they want.
Right,
And,
which is the original video. They want the original video.
Ethan makes himself look like a total idiot though when he thinks that he's showing data proving exactly how cannibalistic reaction content is to the original video, when in fact the data is proving exactly the opposite of what he's claiming. And he got this data from some idiot on Twitter.
He said, I let XQC repost a reaction to see the impact it had. Okay, and the analysis is basically the video witnessed an 87% decrease in impressions on the day of the re-upload. Okay, and the video also witnessed a 52% decrease in viewers on the day of the re-upload.
This internet anarchist guy is completely illiterate and single-handedly hurt the position of people who are anti-react with this one astoundingly idiotic tweet. He said he conducted an experiment where he allowed XQC to react to one of his videos in order to measure the impact it had on the performance of the video the day after the reaction, and he said he saw an 87% decrease in the amount of impressions the day after the reaction. In fact, he's proving the exact opposite of what he's trying to. The rate of decrease is actually less the day after XQC's reaction, and 87% seems to be some arbitrary number, and I have yet to know where he pulled this from. The only available data he's shown is this one screenshot, and as you can see, the fact that he drew the conclusion that there's an 87% decrease in impressions is complete nonsense. The fact that he can't understand a very rudimentary trend line is even more pathetic when you consider the fact that he's a big-time YouTuber who probably spends more time in YouTube Studio than most other people. During all of his time on YouTube, he never actually understood what the data in YouTube Studio was depicting. I'm at the point where I believe that he's either borderline mentally handicapped, and his job is just to narrate his videos while the rest of his team does the intellectual heavy lifting, or is just extremely disingenuous and thinks he can fool mongoloids using evidence that directly contradicts himself. Well, apparently it worked, because not only did he fool the thousands of mongoloids who liked the tweet for some reason, but also H3H3 who used it in his debate against XQC as a gotcha against him. At no point in time did H3H3 notice the egregiously obvious discrepancy between the point he was making and the evidence he was displaying. And neither did XQC, because he didn't point it out either. I have yet to see anyone else bring this up, by the way, which does not make me confident in the intelligence of the community I'm in. Other than this though, H3H3 pretty much mogs the entirety of the React streamer community throughout this debate, and looks like an absolute genius when compared to the likes of XQC, which is not surprising at all. If you lose a debate and get intellectually outpaced by someone like H3H3, you really have to be a special kind of which, to be fair, XQC's level of is probably the main reason why people tune into him. I don't think anybody's watching him for his intellectual prowess. As much as I hate to say it, seeing Ethan bust the balls of virtually the entirety of the upper echelon of Twitch made me gain a lot more respect for him, I'm not gonna lie. It's just a sector of people I genuinely despise more than anyone else on the internet. They harbor the oftentimes lowest common denominator of impressionable leftist middle schoolers who act as automatons for parroting the same idiotic rhetoric that the live streamers do, and make the landscape of online entertainment worse for everyone. At the end of the debate, it's downright hard to watch with how hard H3H3 BTFOs XQC when he basically tells him that he has nothing else interesting or productive to offer to the conversation, and that his time and content is more valuable than XQC's, so he can't afford to stay on the stream debating all day.
You're not going to be able to make 12 hours of content for Kick, who paid you $100 million, if you can't steal other people's content. Because if you don't, what the f are you going to do all day? Sit there and gamble? Nobody's going to watch that. Nobody's gonna watch this already. They don't care about you even having arguments. Clearly, you're not very good at that. You lost 12 viewers, man. All right, thank you, buddy. It was a good chat. Well, I think that we've done a good job at getting to the heart of what you care about.
Wait, there's a bunch of other points.
How you feel. Bro, I mean, I don't think you have anything else interesting to say. So how long do you want me to sit here and listen to you, watch you crawl around on the ground like a worm? I mean, I have a show to do, dude. Unlike you, I actually organize and put work into my show. I understand for you, you're just burning time. You could sit here for 12 hours. That'd make your life easier. You wouldn't have to go steal videos. But me, I planned this. I have a show. I have a schedule. This has stopped being interesting because you're just sitting there saying silly shit, doing the worm. So with that being said, Ethan, thank you for calling. I feel like it was very illuminating, and I wish you the best, and I hope you have a great stream.
You can see that XQC was getting flustered while getting grilled by H3H3 and started attacking him with personal remarks. Once you've stooped to the level of ad hominem, you basically already lost the debate to begin with.
It's just a statement of fact.
So,
Not an insult.
okay, I mean, okay. So as we go forward, you are bald. You're very bald. You're balding. Your hair's thinning, and it's gray, which means that you're old as. Got it. Okay, shall we continue? Is this fun?
The premise is faulty, my friend.
Is this fun for you?
I have a beautiful hairline.
Baldy, is this fun for you or not?
I'm having trouble with the premise. It has a striking resemblance to you trying to argue other points. It literally has no premise at all. It has no basis in reality.
You combo mustache twiddling, hair, and neck skin, and you do like this.
Yeah.
And you have all sorts of things, and that's major react, bro. I have to give it to you.
I mean, in reality, he probably lost the debate the moment he started doing the worm. What we learn here is that XQC is delusional and egocentric enough to believe that he has the privilege of making people sit through his endless and unintelligible ramblings for hours on end, when it's clear and obvious to anyone that no one is going to get anywhere by speaking to him, and that he's lost the argument long ago. He's far too emotionally fragile and inept at articulating points to have a constructive debate with anyone, especially concerning more esteemed topics that require any level of logical exercise like the react question. After the debate transpired, XQC was seen continuously DMing H3H3, desperately trying to get under his skin with any personal attacks or insults he could come up with, but just makes himself look like an insecure, petulant man-child in the end. He even goes so far as to brag about how much his watch is worth, as if that'll help his case in any way. Everyone knows the best way to win the optics game is to look like a totally insecure, out-of-touch, sore loser. Bonus points if you obsessively continue to message the internet celebrity that beat you in a debate to try to get the last word on them. When you stoop to behavior like this, that's definitely another indicator that you lost not just the battle, but the entire war. I also don't think XQC realizes that flexing your wealth on someone like H3H3, who's even more filthy rich than he is completely ineffective for trying to appear like you have a higher status than them. Another player that's had their foot in the door on the react question for a while now is a named darkviperau. And much like XQC challenged H3H3 to a debate, he challenged XQC to a debate right after. XQC agrees to the debate at first, but then backs out and later ghosts him completely, which prompted Dark Viper to leak his DMs he had with XQC about it. I don't know how Dark Viper thought these DMs would help his case in any way, because they make him look just as delusional as XQC is. He DMs him this whole ass novel, demanding that he listen to 2 hours worth of his drawn out pedantic rants about him, just to have the privilege to debate him.
You literally watch YouTube videos for a living. You could stand to watch just 2 more. And so I linked the 2 videos to explain my point of view. It would save us both heaps of time. And how do you expect to have a debate with me if you can't sit still for 2 minutes and listen to me? Are you expecting me just to come on stream and explain things that you yourself could watch? Because I'm not going to explain them better in real time than I do in those videos.
He says that debating XQC wouldn't have any positive impact on his career.
It doesn't provide me any advantage in regards to my business, and it would ultimately be a very thankless task.
Like he isn't a Burj Khalifa skyscraper lower than XQC in terms of popularity, or like this isn't the most amount of relevance he's seen in years, and like he hasn't fully enveloped himself in this drama already on his streams and on his Twitter because he recognizes it as being that important to him. Why does he think that he's entitled to making people listen to hours worth of videos on his YouTube channel just to have the opportunity to debate him, especially when they're way more successful and important than him? It seems ironically enough that he thinks XQC is entitled for wanting him to spend time reiterating himself during the debate about points that he already previously discussed, but sees no issue with making XQC spend hours of his own time watching his videos about his points. This guy has a really obvious lack of self-awareness and entitlement, and I don't think anyone spoke about it or criticized him for it, so I'll be the first one to say it. Meanwhile, in the midst of this Twitter fiasco with XQC in the center of it, he faces a serious legal dispute with his ex-wife Adapter, who plans on making her entire life goal stealing half of his belongings. At this point, you kinda can't help but feel bad for the guy. The cherry on top is that about a day or 2 after the debate between Ethan and XQC, Adapter actually reaches out to Ethan for unknown business reasons, presumably to bring up more dirt on XQC and further air their beef online. Imagine being someone like Adapter and making your entire life centered around your ex. In the end, she's always been a clout shark, and a woman, so it makes sense. XQC was seen still spurking out on Twitter and being a melodramatic freak about this trivial internet beef and people criticizing him, which is very, very fitting for the average top Twitch streamer. These people tend to be very full of themselves and treat opinions people have of them on the internet with way too much gravity. In my opinion, they are the most juvenile, immature adult children I have ever seen throughout my entire experience on the internet to this day. If you're wondering why you're seeing so many people defending the likes of XQC and Hasan on Twitter and Twitch, it's because the primary age demographic for their fan base is around the same age as Skibbity Toilet viewers and Roblox players. Their neocortex is still pretty smooth. There aren't any fully grown adults who are interested in watching man-children eat while they have video essays play in the background for hours on end. And if there are, it's probably because they're debilitatingly autistic. I'm talking like padded helmet level spurg. The fact that the reaction meta has become so prevalent amongst the entirety of the Twitch community is a testament to how creatively bankrupt streamers are as a whole. For years, streamers have gotten away with stealing any high quality content from YouTube that they can get their hands on, and it's only now that people are beginning to have an issue with it and realize what's going on. The fact that the reaction meta is so prevalent among streamers leads to the undeniable conclusion that the medium of streaming itself demands the constant supplementation of other people's creative value and content because the streamer lacks so much of their own. It's fine to have a democratic approach to what content should be successful in terms of what the audience chooses to watch at the end of the day, right? To excuse mediocrity, because that's what the viewer selects as a source of entertainment over other options in the content market. But in this case, I think artificially intervening into the content market in an anti-democratic, socialistic fashion and preventing parasitic cancer like reaction content from becoming successful would be justified. It makes sense when you look at the ages of the average person who regularly consumes brain-dead reaction content and realize that they're literally all children, and children don't have any standards or ideas of what constitutes good content. If you have ever seen the type of creators and videos children interact with and consume, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The main deciding factor for who they decide to watch is whoever provides them with the most visual and auditory stimulation. And when you take into consideration the fact that the majority of the YouTube viewer base is children, it makes more sense that the content they choose to watch is rated higher than the more esteemed content that the mature demographics choose to watch. This is how I think the reaction epidemic started during the ancient era with reply girls, and it's how it started during the classic era with Jinx, and it's how it continues to be propagated through the modern landscape with streamers and people like sniperwolf. It's okay to take the freedom of choice away from children, especially when their choice degrades the experience of everyone else and turns the entire website into a cesspool, because that's what they are. They're just children. Children don't get to choose. It's time we give these Gerbers a timeout and take away their react slop for good before they remain drooling mongoloids into their adulthood. If you want a literal interpretation of the react question, I would say it's asking if react content is truly transformative enough to be considered fair use and where we draw the line, and how we dissuade or deter not only creators, but viewers from engaging in that genre. Billions must ask the react question. Total streamer death! Anyways, like and subscribe, hit the join button. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!
Yeah.